shit. Oh shit. It's getting late. The sun's going down. Everyone else already left. Shit. I don't want to be late. I better get going. Well, howdy, folkerinos. Thought today that I'd show you this little mock-up of what I think an orchestra might look like in the forest. All built on this kind of big-ass platform here covering this waterfall. Although now that I think about it, I suppose the moisture might not be too good for the instruments. Yeah, we'll just not think too much about that. Now, my thinking was that anybody who wanted to could, go up over here and go up top and pay for a ticket and actually watch the orchestra, and sit down up there. But I was thinking that down here could be a nice area just for anybody who wants to bring a blanket and have a nice time just listening to the orchestra with a friend or two, or maybe on a nice date or something. And yeah, that's free. But if you do feel like paying, then we've got the check-in station over here, and all the people kind of bottlenecking into a rough line here. Where we go on to the weapons check, because after all, we got lots of violence on the sound. This is done under the watchful eyes of our animal guardsman. Got the raccoon out in front for the main crowd control. He's kind of the most clever animal on hand, Shark Boy and Crocman over here playing as intimidating bouncer types. So for the actual weapons check, you just bring your weapons over, put them on the tables here, and guards will take your take a number kind of thing, make sure they keep their weapons matched up with their owners, and put them on the racks here. And then once you're done with the weapons check, we got this kind of deer bra on the back here, willing to check your alcohol and other illicit materials that you may have on hand, and then maybe provide some kind of backup if any brawl breaks out, maybe radio in for help. Then we got just some nice flowers here, make the entrance feel better. And then finally the guards cabin, just a nice place to hang out when you're off duty, just chillax a little bit, nothing special. Well, one thing is that you can also watch out over the back route here, which is for employees to use to get around the bottleneck at the entrance here sometimes. Just come right in through here, close that, and you can sneak in to the main plaza type area thing here, I guess you might call her. It's mostly just a place for these vendors over here to hawk their wares at you. Various things like food and drink, and I saw the Forest Orchestra t-shirts. Even those little weird binoculars on a stick thing that like snobby old rich people would use to watch a orchestra. I was thinking to make it feel even more kind of festival-y out here, instead of just being able to buy stuff, you have to talk to this guy first to trade for tokens. And we'll maybe say that like out through here is like the bathrooms out there or something, I don't know. So yeah, once you've made your way all the way through to here, then you get a neat little sneak view at the orchestra and the seating areas as you go by into the last optional check-in of if you want to put your coat or something, or just various articles of clothing, and check that last two things in, and then head straight through here into the seating areas. Got some over here close to the orchestra, some further closer to the edge here if you prefer more of a nice breeze. Just wherever you want, you pick your spot. Maybe I'll cut to just up here for a second so you can see a bit better of this area. There, it's kind of nice. Nice view. Now, I don't really know too much about orchestras, so I just pretty much just googled how they're set up, so if it's too far off the mark, please forgive me. I'm just going by the result of some like Yahoo Answers or something like that. But obviously, first off, we've got the conductor's stand. Got a nice little upper stand up here as well. And I decided to, the closest thing I could get to having looking like sheet music for everybody would be to have these targets here. So everybody has their own targets for their sheet music so everybody can see what they're playing. So over on the conductor's left, apparently, it starts off as the violins, and apparently they're all supposed to share musical seats, so you can have two to a one stand, and with the more experienced in front to help for the bows and such like that. So I decided to leave half of the seats empty to represent the either the less experienced plebs or the player, us, if we want to pretend that we're one of the actual orchestral players. So the biggest thing that I'm not happy about with this orchestra is that I couldn't think of a good way to make such subtle, and mostly the main issue was that at shoulder height or so objects on a small scale that would look good from the options that we have to build at hand. But if I used weapon holders or something, then it would be too many sticks just sticking around and randomly and such, or just anything else like that. I just can't think of anything that would look good, really. Even the technique of just doing like a really super skinny stick walls, or stick fences planted on top of each other to have something up to a certain height, like that's how I did the animal guards. Even that would be still look weird and funky to have just a stick beside every single person who's a player, and so I don't know, I just decided to not have most of them have instruments and just leave it up to the imagination, unfortunately. But yeah, so beside the first violins go the second violins, which I didn't actually have room to make another 4 stack of them, so there's only a few second violins. And then directly mirroring the first violins on the other side is one of the few things that I thought actually could kind of build a little bit, make it look sort of alright, is the cello. Sort of looks like that, I don't know. And then right next to it is the violas, I believe, opposite from the second violins. And then behind the cello and the violin is the double bass violin sort of thing, I believe it is. It's basically just a bit bigger cello, it would seem, from what the Google images showed. It seems I can just sort of make that look like an instrument. I don't know. And then, now this is the place where it kind of breaks down a bit, because the article I was reading it from was a bit hard to read, not the best English, but I think it was telling me that sort of also behind where the violas would be, but more arrayed out in a semicircle in front of the conductor, is the woodwinds. And I believe it's starting on the left, starts off as a piccolo, then a flute, then oboe, then a cor anglaise, which is, I believe, just a bigger oboe, then a clarinet, then bass clarinet right here, then bassoon, and finally contrabassoon. All of which I have no idea how to make as an object in the forest, but hey, you know what? Here's a good headcanon. Let's say that since the show hasn't even started yet, like people aren't even filling in yet, people aren't even in the seats. It's still just the actual artists or instrumentalists themselves coming in here. Let's just say that the small ones are coming in later because they just mostly got all the big pieces in before, because they knew that they didn't want to get blocked in, or if you can't get a piano at the end, it's a bit more of a big deal than if you can't find a spare flute or something like that. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. But yeah, behind the flutes over here is the what do we got here? The brass section, I believe. So we got some horn action, and a trumpet here, and a trombone right there, and finally a tuba over here. And even behind them is supposed to be percussion, but I kind of ran out of building room, so I just put them to the side here. So we got the guy on cymbals, which if you ignore the sticks, it actually kind of looks like cymbals. I'm pretty happy that we have this kind of disc-shaped turtle shells on hand. That's rather nice. And then we got finally those big-ass drums for that deep bass rumble, and a couple of smaller drums up here out front. And it says here that the piano and the harp are supposed to go off to the far sides, but I'm supposed to put them up close to the crowd, but I accidentally put them in the back. Whoops. So yeah, for the harp, I put down a custom floor here, and then just built it up a bit, and then placed down some rock walls, and then built it up even more. And then once it was pretty close to the right height, I put in these stick markers to act as strings for the harp. And then just covered it all with some more rocks, and yeah, the way you get in is over around here, and then you're up. I know that a harp is supposed to have like 47 or so strings, so that's what it said on Google, but I've got 4, so yeah. And then finally, the first instrument that we actually got a sneak peek at from walking through here is the grand piano over here in the corner. To get the slightly curved side like you're supposed to have in a grand piano, well, it should be a bit longer. This is more of a baby grand piano, but to get that going, I put just laid out the whole shape that I wanted in rock walls, and then did that thing where if you put a custom floor down, switch to the more freehand mode where you can do just anchor points like this. And you put your first anchor point on a given spot, and then come around and around, and wherever it goes. Wow, love that glitch. Whenever you go near stick fences. But so if you bring it back around, and then you just put it on the same spot you started on, you can safely cut out all of the other spots that were anchor points. Only the first one matters. So then I could just cut them all out and make it look like it's just 3 normal legs on a normal grand piano. Oh, and I put just a weapon holder in here with some planters as pedals, so with a lyre set up. So yeah, and then I just built up the floor a tiny bit, and then I put in this shelter, since it's got that nice curved look to it, so it looks like it's the lid of the grand piano that opens up. And then I just built up the floor a little bit more so that you can't see the rocks too much. I put in the sheet music so you can read and play, and then I put in some alternating skull heads and or human skulls and raccoon heads. It's kind of the ebony and ivory keys. Well, I guess I mixed it up. The ivory's on top, although you can't really get the placement wouldn't work the other way. There's no other way to hit it. And then the crocodile, just because why not? Now you may be saying to yourself, wait, a lot of the players here can't even see the conductor. How are they going to play? Well, they're just that good, okay? Shut up. So yeah, thanks for stopping by this evening. Hope you enjoy the show, and come again soon.